Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So, Hare Krishna, all dear devotees. We are now on to the final third of the Bhagavad Gita. So, chapters 13 to 18, 6 chapters. The first 6 chapters are Karma Yoga, the main themes. And then the second 6 chapters, which we just finished last week, chapter 12, is all about Bhakti Yoga. And the last 6 chapters, the theme is Jnana Yoga. Jnana means knowledge. And Jnana means acquiring knowledge. So you'll see in this chapter how Arjuna asks so many questions and how Krishna answers them. This is quite a challenging chapter, so keep focused and please don't put anything on the chat except your name and age. Nothing else, please. Nothing else should be on this chat. I'd like that if that's okay, please. Yeah, okay. So let's start this chapter 13 summary. So the final 6 chapters focus on Gyan, and Gyan is transcendental knowledge or wisdom, which helps one become detached from material world, material aspirations, material desires, and it also helps one to become closer to Krishna, become attached to Krishna. So chapter 13 covers topics previously discussed, but explores them in a more analytical way, gives a little bit more understanding of previous topics. Thus, wise readers can take advantage of the logical presentation made by Krishna to strengthen their conviction and deepen their understanding. So there's a few themes again. Arjuna asks Krishna to define 6 subject matters. So we'll see that in a second. Oh yes, okay, I got a brief summary here. He's asking to define Prakriti, which is material nature, Purush, the Supreme Lord, Kshetra, the field of activities, which is the body, Kshetra Gyan, Gyan means knowledge, yeah? Gyan, yeah. Kshetra Gyan, the knower of the field, and that's the soul for our body at least. Jnanam, knowledge in the process of knowing. Jnanam, the object of knowledge. So these are the 6 different subjects he asks about. Krishna describes in brief what is knowledge. He describes the nature of the soul, our nature. And he also describes this material world, Prakriti, and the soul's interaction with this world. All right, let's go into it. So, who'd like to read? You can put your hand up. And
I read, please.
Let others have a chance as well. Krishna?
Text 1 to 2. Arjun said, "Oh my dear Krishna, I wish to know about Prakriti nature, Purusha, the enjoyer, and the field and the knower of the field, and of knowledge and the object of knowledge." The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, "This body, O son of Kunti, is called the field, and one who knows this body is called the knower of the field." Text 3. O Scion of Bharat, you should understand that I am also the knower in all bodies, and to understand this body and its knower is called knowledge. That is my opinion. Text 4. Now please hear my brief description of this field of activity and how it is constituted, what its changes are, whence it is produced, who that knower of the field of activities is, and what his influences are. Text 5. That knowledge of the field of activities and the knower of the activities is described by various sages in various Vedic writings. It is especially presented in Vedanta Sutra with all reasoning as to cause and effect.
Thank you. Do you notice how Arjun asks about the 6 subject matters, and Krishna answers some of them very, very quickly. Okay, let's, who'd like to read number 6? Sorry, 6 to 7. So this is just 2 verses. Who hasn't? Abhijay.
Okay. The 5 great elements: false ego, intelligence, the unmanifested, the 10 senses and the mind, the 5 sense objects: desire, hatred, happiness, distress, the aggregate, the life symptoms and convictions. All these are considered in summary to be the field of activities and its interactions.
Good. Okay. Summary of the first 7 verses. Although Arjun, an established transcendentalist, plays the part of a materially entangled individual. So that means actually Arjun knows spiritual subject matters, but for our benefit, he's asking these questions. So he is, if you like, in many ways, is just pretending to be somebody who doesn't know, so that he can pose questions for the benefit of humanity. So Arjuna asks to define 6 subject matters: Prakriti, that's material nature; Purush, the enjoyer, the supreme lord; Kshetra, the field of activity; Kshetragya, the knower of the field; Jnanam, knowledge and the process of knowing; Jnanam, the object of knowledge. So these are the 6 things he asks. So we've been through that a couple of times. So what are they? Prakriti is the material nature. Purush is the enjoyer. And that ultimately Purush is God, right? So he's the supreme Purush. But we are little enjoyers. So we're trying to be little enjoyers. So we're little Purushas. Kshetram, that's the field in which one acts. So that's like the body. And you saw in verses 6 and 7, Krishna described various aspects of this field. Kshetragyan, that's the living entity, the soul, one who knows the field. We know our body a little bit, but we don't fully know it either. We don't know how, when we go to sleep, during the night, our food is digested, right? We don't know how it's done. We don't actually take part in doing it either. It just gets done, doesn't it? So although we sort of know this body, we don't know it fully. We don't know how the hair grows on our head, for example. It just happens. Right? Jnanam is knowledge of acquiring, or the process of acquiring knowledge. Jnana is the object of knowledge. Or what's the object of knowledge? Well, the object of knowledge is the Supreme Lord. These subjects are key constituents of Vedic philosophy. Krishna therefore spends the entire chapter defining and discussing them. So he talks through all of these matters. He's astute. Arjun's astute inquiries create the opportunity for Krishna to offer answers to life's most profound mysteries. Krishna begins by defining Kshetra and Kshetragyan. Okay, so what's the lesson from this? We can learn about various constitutions of our bodies so that we can understand how to control our desires and focus our attention on the Lord. So This is quite challenging, okay? So bear with me. I'm going to give you what constitutes our body, okay? So earth, water, fire, air, ether. Very easy to understand. Earth, like the bones and the skin. That's what's in our body, our body is made up of. Water, a lot of our body, about I think 70 to 80% constitutes water. Fire, where's the fire? Okay, you can, who'd like to answer? Where's the fire in our body? Who'd like to answer?
Can I answer?
Yes, where's the fire?
In the stomach. In the stomach.
Okay, Riyansh, just wait. Yes, Srinitya.
In the stomach.
Yeah, in the stomach. Yes, well done, Riyansh. Otherwise, we would not have the fire of digestion. So when we eat, it gets burnt up by this fire of digestion. The food does, and turned into
Roji, is
energy.
really fat there in stomach?
Yes. Otherwise, the food won't get digested. When that fire is not very strong, then the body has problems digesting the food. Air, a lot of air within us, and ether. Ether is basically the thinking capacity. And then we have something called the 5 objects of the senses. That's the form, the sound that we're making, smell, taste, and touch. And connected to that are the 5 knowledge acquiring senses and the 5 working senses. So don't worry if you don't understand this fully, because it's quite complex, okay? So the senses are eyes, ears, nose, tongue, right? Skin, by which we touch. So all of these are connected. Eye see the form, ear hears sound, nose smells, tongue tastes, skin touches. And then the working senses, our hands, our legs, the voice, and the private parts. Then we have, so that's 5 plus 5 plus 5 plus 5, 20. That's 20 items which constitute our body. And then we have the mind, 21. Then we have intelligence, 22. And then the false ego, or even the real ego, but the false ego is generally what we have in this world. So that's 23 items. Okay? And then there's something called the unmanifested. I won't explain that. This is quite complex. So these are the field of activities. Okay, this is something that worth understanding, so that we can realize we're made of nothing more. This body, is made of nothing more than these 5 gross elements. And then these subtle elements are what drives our desires and things like that. Oh yeah, desire and hatred and happiness and distress. Okay, let's go to the next set of verses. So it's 5 verses, and we've split them up into different constitutes. Okay, Pali.
Texts 8 to 12. Humility, pridelessness, non-violence, tolerance, simplicity, approaching a bona fide spiritual master, cleanliness, steadiness, self-control, renunciation of the objects of the sense gratification, absence of false ego, the perception of evil of birth, death, old age, and disease, detachment, freedom from entanglement with children, wife, home, and the rest, even-mindedness amid pleasant and unpleasant events, constant and unalloyed devotion to me, aspiring to live in a solitary place, detachment from the general mass of people, accepting the importance of self-realization and philosophical search for the absolute truth. All these I declare to be knowledge, and besides this, whatever there may be is ignorance.
So this is quite interesting. Krishna gives a list of what he considers to be knowledge. Let's go to the summary of this. These verses describe how the Kshatragya, That's a living entity. Kshetra is body and Gya is knower of the body. That's us. Can disentangle himself from the Kshetra, from the body. Because we don't actually, we're not the body. This is the whole point of what Krishna has instructed Arjuna right from the very beginning. We're not the body. We're separate from the body. We're better, more than the body. How do we do that? How do we disentangle, separate from the body? By gaining knowledge. Yeah? Since true knowledge is revealed within the heart of a deserving person, the real method of acquiring knowledge is cultivation of divine qualities, of which humility is the most foremost. See, if you look at the list, humility, Krishna puts as number one. So we may be very good at what we're doing, right? You may be very intelligent, maybe very good sports-wise, so many different things, but always remain humble. Because two things. One is whatever one has a talent in, that's been given by God. That's His gift to us. So if we become arrogant and not humble, then we're insulting God. And the second is it can be lost at any moment. Any moment. Whatever talent we have can just disappear, just like that. So always be humble. Knowledge is not about information and memorization, but rather about exemplary personal character and practical behavior. Just because we know a lot doesn't give us the right to become arrogant. One who nurtures a saintly disposition, who's a gentle person, experiences a change of heart, which disentangles the soul from its deep-rooted identification with the body, its temporary dress. So we have practically 0.00001% of this world might possibly understand that we're not the body and act in that way. But the vast majority, 99.99999% of people believe that we are this body. You know, they act on the basis of just the body, not understanding the soul. So we shouldn't be in that category, okay? And especially, you know, after studying the Bhagavad Gita. So what is the lesson? Cultivate the quality of humility. How do we do this? Humility is often mistaken to be some type of meekness or weakness in behavior. But Vaishnava humility is, however, completely spiritual quality, not a material one. It comes from understanding one's real self in relation with God. Real humility is understanding that one is but an instrument of the Supreme Lord. We're just here to serve the Supreme Lord in whatever capacity He wants. We can think, I do not have any good qualities whatsoever. On my own strength, I cannot accomplish anything independently. I am of no special significance in the vastness of creation. This is all true. But my only qualification is the order of my spiritual master and Krishna. By their potency, I may be empowered to do anything as they wish. This is real humility. Yeah. This is real humility. Prabhupada defines humility as not hankering, not wanting the satisfaction of being honored by others. Ah, he did so well. Give him a round of applause. We shouldn't be hankering for that. Thus, a Vaishnava does not endeavor to prove his or her worth to others or even to themselves. They simply endeavor to serve and please Krishna. That's all we want to try to do. In a mood of real humility, one can act very boldly. Humility doesn't mean weakness, right? Vaishnavas are not weak. They're very, very strong because they're serving the Supreme Lord. And they're bold and confident. On one's own personal behalf, a Vaishnava is very meek and tolerant. So personally, the Vaishnava will be humble. But when Krishna's service demands, a humble Vaishnava will do the needful in a complete mood of service. I'll give you an example. Oh yeah, it's here, sorry. In mundane humility, the focus is on one's own inadequacies rather than upon Krishna's mercy. So if we're falsely humble, then we'll be just thinking, oh, I'm useless, I'm this, I. That's not the whole point of humility. The whole point of humility is, whatever I may be, that's up to the Lord. But I will engage myself, whatever I have, in the service of the Lord. So I is in the center even of those who are falsely humble, not Krishna. That is the crucial distinction. Example is Hanuman. Hanuman was so powerful, so powerful. Yet he was always humble. He was always humble. And he also served the Lord in the greatest capacity, right? And yet he was always still a very, very humble soul. And Srila Prabhupada, he was amazing. Srila Prabhupada gives all of the credit of his incredibly hard work of coming to the West and spreading Krishna consciousness to his spiritual master, Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada. So this is humility. Very important subject matter. And learn it from a young age to be humble. But humility does not mean weakness or meekness. Yeah? We won't be just rolled over, but we will serve in the service of Krishna. We will serve Krishna to the best of our capacity. All right. Okay, let's read the next. Ishwari. Oh, Kishwari.
Ishvari will read half and then Kishri will read the other half.
Okay, thank you.
Text 13. I shall now explain the knowledge of knowable knowing, which you will taste the eternal Brahman, the spirit, beginningless and subordinate to me, lies beyond the cause and effect of this material world. Text 14. Everywhere are his hands and legs, his eyes, heads, and faces, and he has ears everywhere. In this way, the Supersoul exists, pervading everything. Text 15. The Supersoul is the original source of all senses, yet he is without senses. He is unattached, although he is the maintainer of all living beings. He transcends the modes of nature, and at the same time he is the master of all the modes of material nature. Text 16. The Supreme Truth exists outside and inside of all living beings, the moving and the non-moving. Because he is subtle, he is beyond the power of material senses to see or to know. Although far, far away, he is also near to all.
So this is a brief description Krishna is giving of the supreme reality, the supreme truth, absolute truth. And this is the bit I really like. Although far, far away, he's also near to all. So if you want him to be far away, he'll be very far away. If you want him to be close, he'll be right next to you. Okay, Mira.
Text 17. Although the Supersoul appears to be divided among all beings, it is never divided. He is situated as one, although he is the maintainer of every living entity. It is to be understood that he devours and develops all. Text 18. He is the source of light in all luminous objects. He is beyond the darkness of matter and is unmanifested. He is knowledge. He is the object of knowledge, and he is the goal of knowledge. He is situated in everyone's heart. Text 19. Thus the field of activities, the body, known, knowledge, and the knowable have been summarily described by me. Only my devotees can understand this thoroughly and thus attain to my nature.
So again, Krishna is explaining about Paramatma. he expands himself to be with every one of us. So within us, the body, there are two souls. We are there, and Paramatma is right next to us, situated right next to us, within the heart, with the region of the heart. So we should never think we are on our own. The Lord is always with us. He's protecting us. He's looking over us. He's witnessing what we are doing. Yeah? Okay, summary of 13 to 19. Having described Kshetra, Kshetragyan, Jnanam, Krishna Das describes Jnanam, the object of knowledge. The purpose of knowledge is to realize the soul and the super soul, who are eternally individual, but at the same time intimately connected. So one of the things we have to try to understand is we are not the body, right? We're a soul, and we are connected with the super soul, the Supreme Lord. It is a prerogative of the soul to understand the super soul, but the super soul is sometimes described as avijnanam, very difficult to understand or unknowable. So how do we reconcile that? If he's unknowable, how will we ever know him? So scientists who try to fathom the Supreme using mundane logic and material sense perception are invariably baffled. They'll never succeed because they're trying to use these senses, the eyes, the nose, to try to understand the Supreme. But he's beyond that understanding, on that level. So the super soul within remains unknowable to them. However, those who approach the subject matter with proper attitude, ready and willing to gain insight through the eyes of great teachers, can surely realize the super soul, the object of all knowledge. So let's try to understand what is the difference between the soul and the super soul. Okay, here we go. We've given a little idea here. The soul, known as Jiva-atma. Jiva means soul. Atma means soul. Jiva-atma. Very, very tiny. We are tiny. We're like, if you get a tip of the hair and you cut it into 10,000 pieces, that's how big we are. It's tiny. We know a little bit about this body. Let's see how it differs from the Lord, right? Lord is huge. He's known as Parameshwar or Paramatma. He's infinite. We are finite. God knows everybody's bodies because he's situated in everybody's body. We only know our body. He knows everybody's body. So the soul is a secondary proprietor for one's body, just like the citizens are proprietors of one's land. But when the citizen dies, the land is still there. Right? But the super soul is the supreme proprietor of everything. So the king, for example, owns everything. Soul is a secondary controller of the senses, right? Just like citizens are the secondary controllers of activities. But similarly, the Supreme Lord is a supreme controller of activities, just like the king is the original controller of all activities in the kingdom. If the king allows, the citizens can act in certain ways, right? If the king says, okay, today's Sunday, every shop should be closed, then the citizens have to obey that order. They're secondary controllers, whereas the king is the primary controller. Just like that, God is the primary controller and we are secondary controllers. If the Lord doesn't want us to be in this body, we can't do anything about it. He's in charge. We are fallible, which means we are not perfect, but God is infallible. He's perfect. We are a loving servant. So we're subordinate to God, but he's eternally a loving master, superior. Now, this is an important point. He's not a tyrant. He's not a dictator. He's loving master, loving master. And there are millions of living entities, billion, trillions, unlimited number. But although the super soul is in the heart of every living being, and even within every atom, there's only one God. So these are the differences. Try to understand. We are different from the super soul. Very important to understand this. All right, let's go to the next. Veda, would you like to read?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Okay.
Text 20. Material nature and the living entities should be understood to be beginningless. Their transformations are the moods of matters, are products of material nature. Text 21. Nature is said to be the cause of all material causes, and affects whereas the living entity is the cause of the various sufferings and enjoyments in this world. Text 22. The living entity's material nature thus follows the ways of life, enjoying the three moods of nature. This is to his association with that material nature. Thus, he meets with good and evil among various species. Text 23. Yet in this body there is another, a transcendental enjoyer, who is the Lord, the supreme proprietor, who exists as the overseer and permitter, and who is known as the Supersoul. Text 24. One who understands this philosophy concerning material nature, the living entity, and the interaction of the moods of nature is sure to attain liberation. He will not take birth here again, regardless of his present position.
Wonderful. Okay, Srinitya.
Some perceive the supersoul within themselves through meditation, others through the cultivation of knowledge, and still others through working without fruitive desires. Text 26. Again, there are those who, although not conversant in spiritual knowledge, begin to worship the Supreme Person upon hearing about him from others because of the tendency to hear from authorities. They also transcend the path of birth and death. Text 27. O of the Bharatas, know that whatever you see in existence, both the moving and the non-moving, is only a combination of the field of activities and the knower of the field. Text 28. One who sees the super soul accompanying the individual soul in all bodies, and one who understands that neither the soul nor the super soul within the destructible body is ever destroyed, actually sees. Text 29. One who sees the super soul equally present everywhere in every living being does not degrade himself by his mind. Thus he approaches the transcendental destination.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Mira, did I already ask you, Mira?
Yeah.
Okay, sorry. Abhijay.
Text 31, who can see all activities are performed by the body, which is created of material nature, and sees that the self does nothing, actually sees. Text 31, when a sensible man ceases to see different identities due to different material bodies, and he sees how beings are expanded everywhere, he attains to the Brahman conception. Text 32, those with the vision of eternity can see that the imperishable soul is transcendental, eternal, and beyond the modes of nature. Despite contact with the material body, O Arjuna, the soul neither does anything nor is entangled. Text 33, the sky, due to its subtle nature, does not
We lost you. You've just muted yourself.
Oh, sorry.
You're here. The
yeah.
sky.
The sky, due to its subtle nature, does not mix with anything, although it is all-pervading. Similarly, the soul situated in Brahman vision does not mix with the body, though situated in that body. O son of Bharata, as the sun alone illuminates all this universe, so does the living entity, and within the body, illuminate the entire body by consciousness.
Wonderful. Now, there's some really incredible concepts in here which are difficult to understand. Okay, and I'll give you one of them, which is this point here. The self does nothing. So everything is performed by the body is through material nature. So this is such a difficult thing to understand, that actually we, the soul, are not the doers. The doing is happening already by the permission of the Lord and by material nature. We'll see this come again. Okay, so this is really a difficult point to understand, but it's very important to understand as well. See, despite this point here, text, despite contact with the material body, despite we being in here, the soul neither does anything nor is entangled. So this is quite a challenging one to understand for many, many people. So just bear this in mind, okay? That we're actually not doing anything. Everything's happening because we have a desire. Krishna is fulfilling that desire. Oh, Abhijay, just finish off this last verse.
Okay, text 5. Those who see with the eyes of knowledge the difference between the body and the knower of the body, and can also understand the process of liberation from bondage in material nature, attain to the supreme goal.
So this here concludes the chapter by this incredible verse. With the eyes of knowledge, we can see the difference between the body and the soul, and understand how to get out of this world. That person will attain the supreme goal. All right, summary. This chapter concludes a description of the final two terms, Prakriti and Purush. The conditioned soul, that's us, desires to control and enjoy material nature, Prakriti. It is this enjoying spirit that binds us to this world because we're so attached to pizzas and sweets and chocolate, PlayStation and this and that, TV, whatever else we have, mobile phones and games on mobile phones. We'll stay in this world. But the super soul is the actual enjoyer. He's the Purush. And everything, material nature and the individual souls, are ultimately meant for his enjoyment. So, just like pouring water over the roots of the tree gives energy for the whole tree, similarly, if we worship the Supreme Lord, serve the Supreme Lord for his pleasure, then that will also give us pleasure. Okay? This is quite an important point. We'll see this later on again. So, by practicing bhakti, we try to elevate our consciousness. This is the whole point of practicing bhakti yoga. If our consciousness remains at the animal level, sleeping, eating, mating, and defending. That's the only 4 things that animals do. If we stay at that same level and don't improve our consciousness, we'll end up back in the animal kingdom again, our next birth. I'll give you an example. This young lady likes to sleep a lot. Whatever she does, she just sleeps. That's all she's thinking about. That's her consciousness. Maybe in her next life, God will give her a body in which she can continue with the same level of consciousness in the form of a bear, 6 months a year, sleeping. This person likes to eat, whatever it is, tasty, not tasty, they just want to eat. Whether it's fresh or gone off, whether it should be eaten or should not be eaten, they'll just eat. That's consciousness is at the same level as a pig, more or less. And perhaps in their next life, they'll be given the opportunity to continue with that same level of consciousness in the body of a pig. Now, it's not a good thing, by the way, to descend into the animal world. We've achieved the jackpot. We've achieved human form of life. In this human form of life, we can elevate our consciousness to the highest level, that is God consciousness. And that's what we must try to do. That's what Bhagavad Gita encourages us to do throughout, to improve the way we are thinking, improve our behavior, to connect with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This is the most important thing. If we can do that, then we'll get out of this cycle of birth and death, and we'll go back to the spiritual world. So I wanted to stop there. And let's take some questions. And we've got a few minutes for questions, preferably connected to this chapter. It's a difficult chapter to grasp because there's so many different concepts that Arjuna asks and Krishna throws at us. But very important chapter at the same time. Ishwari or Kishori.
Okay, we've written quite a lot of questions, and some of them are to do with the chapter and some of them aren't to do with the chapter.
Mm-hmm.
So how many? We've got 17 questions.
That's incredible. Okay, go for it, and then let's see how quickly we can answer them.
Okay, so I finished the Ramayana and I started reading the Mahabharata. So what did Duryodhana, what did he do in his past life that made him like this evil?
That I'm not sure of, actually. But we don't worry too much about one's past life. But I know where you're coming from, that you just want to understand why was he so bad.
Yeah.
I wouldn't worry too much. I wouldn't worry too much.
And how did Yudhishthir get caught in greed at the gambling match, even though he's like the best among all men in a human form?
Yes, that's a good question. It shows that even this material world is a very dangerous place to live in. And even somebody who's so self-controlled as Dharmraj Yudhishthir, who's incarnation of Dharmraj, no less, son of Dharmraj, even he got carried away in this material world. So we got to be very cautious how we deal with material world. So this was an example that was set. I mean, at the end of the day, Krishna put him under that illusion because Dharmraj can never be under that illusion. But he was put into that illusion to show us as an example that in this world, we have to be extremely careful our behavior and conduct.
Okay, and why can't the body live without the soul?
Because the body is already dead. We saw the constitutes of the body, right? Earth, water, fire, air, ether. That's what the body is made of. It's already dead. This body is just, simply put, it's just, you could probably compile it with 10 pounds of money-wise, 10 pounds sterling of things from in this world. That's what it's made of. It's just some bodily parts, material things put together by the Lord. So it's already dead. The soul gives it apparent life. It looks like it's living. Just like the car. Car is already dead, right? Car can't do anything without the driver. Otherwise, he'll just sit there doing nothing. So in the same way, the body will sit there doing nothing unless the driver, the soul, is in the body.
Yes, okay. I understand. And did Arjun actually feel baffled that he asked those questions?
No. He's actually pure devotee, but Krishna sometimes, just like he put Yudhishthir under this blanket of illusion, so he had to act, he acted in, a way which was not natural to him. So similarly, Arjun was also put under this blanket of illusion so that he would ask these questions for our benefit.
Why is the battlefield called Kurukshetra?
It's not that battlefield is Kurukshetra, but Kurukshetra is the place where the battle took place. Kurukshetra is a very, very spiritual place. It's actually regarded to be the hub of the whole universe. The hub means the center of the universe. The universe revolves around Kurukshetra. So it's actually regarded to be a really important spiritual place. The significance of the battle being at Kurukshetra was that if we see the first verse, Dharam Kshetra Kurukshetra, where Sanjay is saying, Dhritarashtra is saying, what happened in the place of pilgrimage, Kurukshetra? The significance is that the battle was taking place in a very holy place. So Dhritarashtra was very scared that his sons are unjust, they are unholy, but the battle is taking place in a holy place. So he was very concerned that something's not right here, something's going to go wrong, badly wrong for my children.
Yeah. How do you become humble?
Did you see? I'll share those notes in the group. So ask your mom and dad for a copy of those notes. But humility is basically understanding I am a servant of the Supreme Lord. In his service, I'll do anything. I'll do whatever it takes to serve the Lord. That's humility.
Okay.
Hanuman, he fought for the service of the Lord, right? He fought people. And that was considered, although, fighting somebody is not exactly humble, is it? But in the service of the Lord, he did it. And that is what makes it humble. That's what humility is all about. Becoming a servant, a humble servant of the Lord. Not meek and, somebody can run over you,
Yeah.
Ishwari, just sit down. And you sit down. No. What? Hang on. That's just meekness. That's just weakness. We're not weak as Vaishnavas. We're very strong. Very, very strong. But in the mood of service to the Lord. Not in a mood that I am strong and I will, I can defeat anyone. No. In the service of the Lord. Everything in the service of the Lord.
And can somebody fake being humble?
Somebody?
Fake being humble. Can you
Yeah. Oh, yes. Oh, yes. False humility. Very much. Very much.
Is that when you said they're just wanting people to honor them?
Yes, they want that honor, that he's so humble, look at him, it is like a show.
Okay.
It
And
can
is
be.
reading Krishna books a service to him?
Yes, reading about Krishna is seva, is devotional service. Absolutely. And reading is acquiring knowledge about God. Very, very, very powerful seva, because that knowledge can help you detach yourself from this world. So it's very important seva.
Okay, and if somebody doesn't believe in the super soul, where is the super soul then? Is he close or far?
Far, extremely far. Far, far away. Although he's so close, he's very far.
And does the soul control us?
We are the soul. We are the soul. We are that living entity which controls the body. We control the body in one sense. we desire. I'm moving my hands. But what Krishna says actually, soul is not moving the hands. What Krishna is saying is, the material nature is doing this. The soul is simply desiring to move the hands. And what happens is there's a little meeting between the demigods who control the various aspects of our body. And they say, okay, this fellow desires to move his hands up and down. Shall we let him do it? All right, then let's do him. Let him do it. It's a quick, short meeting. And this is how material nature actually does everything. The soul doesn't, simply desires. So we are the soul. It's not that we are controlled by the soul. We are the controllers, many little controllers of this body through our desires.
Why is 108 a spiritual number?
There's 108 Upanishads. There's 108 primary gopis who serve Krishna to his heart's content. These are the two primary reasons why this 108 is a very auspicious number.
Okay. And why do you have to do 16 rounds on beads to get initiated?
That's a standard set by Srila Prabhupada. Actually, the standard is 64, but Prabhupada reduced it down to 16 because he knew in the West we are a little bit crazy. We don't want to spend time with God. But the more, 16 is the absolute minimum. So we try to chant more than 16 every single day. The more the merrier, the more the better. Why? Because otherwise, how are we going to connect with the Supreme Lord? Where is the connection with the Supreme Lord?
And what does it mean to be initiated?
You've taken a spiritual master and you have basically dedicated yourself to his and Krishna's service.
Okay. And because dogs and cats are like household pets and they hear the holy name, are they more likely to become human?
Yes, especially if you're feeding them prasad. I know many dogs who are vegetarian who get fed prasad. Their life, next life is definitely going to be in the human stage.
And the last question is, why did the Lord create us?
He hasn't created us. He has sort of, he's our source to enjoy, right? To enjoy, because on your own, what's the fun? But he expands himself as Radha, and because two is better than one in terms of enjoying. He is self-enjoying anyway, but when you have company, it's much more fun. And we are part and parcel of God. So we've always existed as part of him, but he's also, we're also separate from him in one sense. We're also with him in another sense. When we are connected with him in God consciousness, we're with him. When we're separate, when we are separate when we forgotten him. But it's a question of allowing this relationship to develop of service and being served. You have to have at least two parties. One's being served, other is serving. But in the material world, servant means derogatory, right? It's not nice to be a servant. In the spiritual world, it's the other way around. The servant enjoys more than the served. The servant enjoys more than the supreme. And that we'll explain another time. Good questions. Thank you, Ishwari. Srinitya?
My question was, I had more than one question actually. My first question was, why would there be a battle in such a holy place?
That's where they picked the battle to take place, because Kurukshetra is a huge piece of land. To fit in millions of people, you need a big piece of land. And also it was a holy battle. It was not a battle, it was a holy war, right? Where good was meeting against evil. And Where else to fight apart from a holy place in order for the holy people to win?
My next question is that why is everything meant to be for Krishna to enjoy? You mean that, I mean, like books, cards, toys, soul, the spiritual world, all the 14 worlds, all the 14 different worlds. Is that it?
Because it's all his. It all belongs to him.
You
But he's
mean-
so humble. He's so humble. He will make us enjoy more than he. This is the beauty of the Lord. Even though he's the supreme enjoyer and everything is for his enjoyment, if we try to serve him, he will give us the opportunity to enjoy more than he is enjoying. Srinitya. This is the beauty of the Lord. The devotee doesn't want to enjoy. He wants to let the Supreme Lord enjoy. This is for you, my Lord. Please enjoy it. But the Lord is thinking, no. You're trying to make me have fun, but I want you to have fun. And he, it's like we can give Krishna with our two hands, right? What can we give him? He's got thousands of hands. If he decides to give us, what are we going to take with two hands? So when he gives so much that we would have no chance to enjoy. We would have so much to enjoy, we would never understand it. But we enjoy more than he does, believe me. So hang on, before you carry on, let me just see.
Krishna have to do all the hard work?
Just one second. Rianch, you can put the number on the chat, and also you can share your screen and you can get everything ready, and everybody can join the Kahoot so that we can do the quiz. Now, before you carry on, Srinitya, let me just ask Arjun. So we'll do a few questions whilst everybody's joining Kahoot and we're getting Kahoot on the screen. Yeah. So Arjun, you got a question?
So why? So it says, when it says the good qualities Krishna wants in some people, he says non-violence, even though he wants Arjuna to fight, and Arjuna wants to do non-violence.
Good question. Yeah, it's a contradiction in terms, isn't it? Hey, I like non-violence, but Arjun, I want you to fight. Actually, they are compatible, because a policeman, I'll give you an example, okay? A policeman sees a robbery taking place, and he says to his boss, I didn't stop the robber because I believe in non-violence. Okay. What would happen to him? They'll sack him. You've not done your duty. You can go home, go to sleep. Don't come back to work. So this policeman, when he sees something happening, a robbery, he may have to resort to some sort of violence to stop the robbery. But that violence is acceptable, is expected. In the same way, when Krishna is saying non-violence, that's not necessarily in the line of duty. When you do it on the line of duty, you may need to be violent. Some sort of violence may be required, but that violence is not himsa. It's still ahimsa, because you're doing it in the duty of your work. So Arjun's duty was to discipline. He was a prince. He was a Kshatriya. He was meant to fight against injustice, against adharma. So his fighting is considered non-violence because he's doing it in the course of his duty. Does that make sense, Arjun?
Yeah. And another thing is, when Krishna gave the Duryodhana and Arjuna the choice between Krishna or else Krishna's army, even though Arjuna chose Krishna, when Bhishma was fighting
Yes.
and Arjuna was saying he couldn't kill him, Krishna got angry and then he tried to kill Bhishma.
Yeah,
Even though he told not to,
that's
and he
right.
got
This
angry.
is how the Lord is showing his sweetness. He will break his own promise to fulfill the devotee's promise. Bhishma had promised, I will make the Lord fight. Krishna had promised, I will not fight. But Krishna is so sweet, such an amazing person. He will break his own word to fulfill the promise of his devotee. You see the beauty of the Lord? He will become infamous for breaking a promise if it fulfills the devotee's promise. This is the sweetness of God. This is such an amazing pastime. Yeah? So understand it in that context. Not that Krishna broke his promise, but he did it. Why? This is how I was telling you. We want to serve the Lord, but he wants to serve us more. Okay, Shri Nitya, just finish off your question and then we'll go on to Kahoot.
If I have two more questions actually. If I was reading a book about Venkatesha or any other avatar of Krishna, would that be a service
Yes.
to the Lord?
Yes, it would. Yes, it would, definitely. One second. Can everybody join? I can only see 13, but there's at least 20 odd participants. So please join the Kahoot. Yes, Senite, last question.
The last question is an avatar of Vishnu Chaitanya or is it not? Because I've never really heard about it before.
Yes, he's hidden avatar. He is avatar, he's hidden avatar. And one session, maybe, if we get a chance, we'll talk about Chaitanya, who he is.
Why is Chaitanya a hidden avatar?
That's what I'm saying. It'll take a long time to answer that. So we'll do a special session, hopefully, in answering that question. Okay, one time. Thank you so much, everybody. Very good questions. So let's go to Kahoot. How come we only got 13 people? Who's not joined? Is anybody left to join? Otherwise, we're going to start. Okay, Rians, please start. Oh, we can't hear you, Rianj.
Prabhuji, can you hear me now?
Yes.
So, chapter 12, devotional service. So, I have 10 questions. First question, what is the name of 12th chapter? Is it devotee's life, devotion, devotional service, or none of this? One minute. Yeah, so 7 of 10 got right. It's devotional service. Next question. Who spoke the first shloka of this chapter? Is it Sanjay? Keshava means Krishna there. Partha means Arjuna or none of this? So the answer is the answer is Partha Arjuna, who is known as Arjuna. So Ishwari is on top. Third question, how many types of transcendentalists are there? Is it 5, 4, 2 or none of these? So it's mentioned in 12.2 verse of chapter 12. Yes, the answer is 2.
Only 3
Many
got it.
of them got it wrong, but 3 of them tried and got it right. So Ishwari has gone back and Lokeshwar came. The 4th question, according to Lord Krishna, who is the more troublesome? Is it one who is worshipping the impersonal Brahman, one who is engaged in devotional service, one who is in yogic meditation, or all of the above? Yeah, the answer is right. One who is worshipping the impersonal Brahman. So Pari is leading. All are changing their positions, Prabhuji. First. Which one of the following is easier for the soul? So here it is mentioned as yogas. Which one is easier for the soul? Is it Jnana Yoga, Bhakti Yoga, Karma Yoga, or all of the above? This is a bit easy question.
Good. 9
So
people.
all of them got it right, means 9.
9 people, yeah.
It's Bhakti Yoga. So Pari is maintaining her position. Dash is an authorized representation of the Supreme Lord in deity form. So is it Achavigraha, demigod, scriptures, or all of the above?
Little tough question.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Oh, only one person got it right. Hare Krishna.
Oh.
Yeah, we haven't done this before, so not surprising.
7th question. What does Krishna promise to do to those who perform devotional service without any deviation? Is it protects what they have and gives what is needed? Is it gives them all happiness of the world, delivers them from ocean of birth and death, or none of these?
Yes.
Wow, 9 of them.
Very good. Excellent.
So Krishna promised that to those who worship me with love and devotion, I will deliver them from the ocean of birth and death. Because we have a cycle of life, so we can't stop changing our bodies. 8th question, the holy name of the Lord and the Lord are same, similar, non-different, or all of the above? This is a tricky question again. Wow, one of them got it right. So it's non-different.
Which is the same as well. So anyway, carry on.
So all of them are maintaining their position. So 9th question, how many different processes of Bhakti Yoga are indicated in 12.9? So is it 2, 5, 9 or 4? So this is different from the second question. I will explain it when all of them type the correct answer. Yeah, the answer is 2, because in 12.2 it's said as the one who worships impersonal and one who do devotional service to the Lord. And 12.9 it's said as there are two processes of Bhakti Yoga, which one of it is one who is attached to Lord Krishna and one who is not attached to Lord Krishna. So that's the difference in 12.2 and 12. So Srinitya.
Whoa, Srinitya.
So this is the last question. Which is the highest stage of devotional service? Is it mind fixed in Krishna, follow regulative principles of sadhana bhakti, work for Krishna, or renunciation of and conclusion of the knowledge?
Good question. Very
so the
good.
answer is 8.
Got it right. Excellent.
Because the mind is our if we control our mind, it's our best friend, and if we don't control it, so it's our worst enemy. That's why Krishna also tells to control our mind. So podium in 3rd we have Abhijit. And second, we have Kishori.
Ooh.
Srinitya.
Wow, Srinitya.
Srinitya.
Well
And the
done.
runners up are Ishwari and Arjun.
So what happened to Pari?
Yes, Prabhuji.
She was second until last.
I lost it near the end.
Okay.
My answers started getting slower as well. I think it's because of the internet, so it wasn't submitting as faster.
It's really surprising considering me and Kishri weren't here last week.
Yeah, you did well. You did
Oh,
fantastic.
well done, guys.
Yeah, well done.
And she got fourth. You got
Fantastic. Fantastic. All right. Thank you, everybody.
Bauji, can I do the quiz next time?
Yes, number 13. Tough one. Don't make the
Prabhuji,
question easy. Okay?
Prabhuji, can I do for number 15 chapter? 15,
Yes,
16?
yes, you can. But Lokeshwar, keep it simple, yeah? The answers.
Yeah, like last time, right?
Yeah, like last time. Thank you so much, everybody. Hare Krishna.
Prabhuji,
Have a
like
good
you
week.
said, I changed that ninth question.
You did,
That,
yeah. But that was a tougher question.
Yes,
The trick question. So I'd like to wish everybody a good week. Have a good week at school. And
have a good week, Prabhuji.
Thank you so much. And we shall see everybody next week. Hare Krishna, everybody. Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Bye.